Hey friend, welcome. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jen. I'm a part-time online clothing reseller, which means I go to thrift stores, I buy used clothes, I list them on eBay and Poshmark, and hopefully sell them for a profit. Today is Thursday, August 14th, and I have 5 items that sold in the last 48 hours. Not great, but that's okay. I have a gross sales amount of, where did I write it down? $117.10. 3 of these items sold on Poshmark and 2 on eBay. So the first item sold on eBay, it's loud. This is a skirt, which is a skirt shorts combo, if you didn't know. And this is Athleta. This is an older tag, Athleta. And it looks like I have some little hairs to get out. Okay. This actually belonged to one of my girls. I have 2 teenage daughters, if you don't know. And one of the things I love about reselling is that I can resell our old stuff. So one of my daughters wore this probably just a couple of times because that's how she is. But I got to resell it. And I probably bought it at a thrift store. Actually, I know I did. I didn't buy this new. Sometimes we get Athleta stuff at like a liquidation store that's in town. But this, that would be newer tag Athleta, and this is definitely not. So anyway, so Athleta skirts have an average sale price of $17.64 with a 24% sell-through rate. Because this one's older, it sold for $15.96. I had it listed for $17, and I send out 20% off offers. There's something happening in my house. Okay. I send out 20% off offers on actually all platforms, eBay, Poshmark, and Depop. On eBay, I just do it on the eBay app, usually actually on my laptop. Oh my word, so much is happening. Okay. So it sold for $15.96. With shipping, they paid $22.47. I sold this in 5 months, and I have a 0 cost of goods because it was ours, and that makes my profit after fees and shipping $13.71. Not too shabby. All right, this is also black and probably also going to need to be lint rolled. So I think I listed this too high, and it took forever to sell, 16 months. But this is a 100% linen button-up shirt. I'll show it to you first. This is, I don't know how to say it, Bohio, B-O-H-I-O, 100% linen wash. And this brand, it seemed like sold better if there were like panels down the front. There were a couple keywords that I saw a lot with this brand, and one was Cuban, and one was a word I'm not even, Guayabera, Guayabera. Yeah, those were 2 keywords that I saw on that. But those seem to sell, like I said, with like the big panel. I think this looks a little bit like a bowling shirt or like a camp shirt is a word I see a lot, kind of in that style. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. I just like things that are linen. It seems like linen shirts sell pretty quickly for me, especially men's linen. This just was not the case. And again, I think it's because I priced it too high. So this particular brand linen shirt, and that was all I looked up. I didn't add those keywords into the search. Has an average sale price of $15.68 with a 15% sell-through rate. I had mine listed at 25. So they did use, I have a 15% off coupon that's always on my store. Not always, most of the time on my store. And they did use that. So with shipping, they paid $27.63, and I paid 50 cents for it at one of my favorite thrift stores. It took 16 months to sell, and my profit is $17.51. How is that? Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, probably had it priced too high. Maybe if I had priced it at $20, it would have sold a little faster, but who knows? Also, 16 months ago, the comps could have been different. That is often a possibility. So I know when I went through, I talked about this a couple days ago when I did my last ship with me, that at the beginning of the year, I went through and took out a lot of things, most things that I had listed in 2023, just to kind of make space in my space, because I was at that point was running out of space. So now I have a lot of space. It feels nice. It feels like I can breathe. But one of the things I did on a lot of those items was rechecked comps, because, you know, comps change, seasons change, trends change. It just, things change. All right, the next 3 items sold on Poshmark. This one's the best one. But this one also took a long time to sell. It took a year. Oh, the cicadas are loud. This is a vintage dress. I used Prairie. This is a midi length dress. It has kind of a little, kind of a cap, kind of a flutter sleeve. It does have shoulder pads. It has a really, I don't know, that's like a perfect fall print, I think. I did use cottagecore. It's a brand called All That Jazz, and let's see, made in Sri Lanka. I don't think I say that country correctly, but I don't know how to make my mouth say SRI. Sri Lanka. Okay, anyway. So comps on this were interesting. So what I did was when I listed it, I do a lot more research. When I'm doing comps for these videos, I really usually do just kind of basic searches. I search on eBay, the product research tool in the eBay Seller Hub, if you don't know. If you do know, you've heard me say that a million times. So what I did was searched vintage midi prairie dress, and the average sale price was $33.72 with a 7% sell-through rate. Then I went back and searched vintage All That Jazz dress, and the average sale price was $28.29 with a 14% sell-through rate. I had this listed for $40, and on Poshmark someone offered me $36, which was 10% off, which is great. And I went ahead and accepted that. I got this at my new favorite thrift store for $2, and I've had it for a year. And I remember, maybe I have a couple All That Jazz dresses, and I remember I did a haul, and I don't remember if it was this dress or the other one that I have, but I got a lot of like, oh, that dress will sell so fast, and it just didn't. So maybe if I had priced it more at the $30 mark, it would have sold faster, but I didn't. I've had it for a year. I paid $2 for it. So after fees and my cost of goods, there's no shipping costs on Poshmark unless you do a shipping discount, and I don't. My profit is $26.80. All right, this is kind of a funny little thing. This is Juicy Couture. It says cake. It says girls rule. It says for nice girls who like stuff. I don't know, something else. This is called Pony Show, and it's new with tags, which is nice. I like I like that. When I look up Pony Show Juicy Couture beanie, there's no information. If I just looked up Juicy Couture beanie girls, because I believe this was a kid's size. Where did I see that? Maybe I just said girls because it says girls on it. I don't know. This looks pretty small to me. The average sale price was $12 with a 4% sell-through rate. I had it listed for $20 on Poshmark. Somebody offered me $15 and I went ahead and accepted that. That's 25% off, but that's okay. I paid $2 for it at a thrift store in a city that's about an hour from me. And it took 5 months to sell, which I don't think is that bad. Especially, you know, something with such a low sell-through rate. Anyway, it makes my profit $10. So I'm pleased with that overall. I don't expect to make a lot of money on hats, you know. They're just kind of like a little, not really a bonus. Also not really like a bread and butter. It's kind of like an in-between. I don't know. I mean, I took 3 photos of that. One side, the other side, and the tags. So, you know, that's pretty easy. It probably took me a little while to try and figure out what to price it at, just to make sure it wasn't. Some Juicy Couture stuff can be like a lot of money. But not, I don't think that was. It's hard for me to figure those things out. You know, like I'm watching through Gilmore Girls with one of my teenage daughters, and last night Lorelai was in a Juicy Couture velour, you know, with the juicy across the bum. And I think it's more those kind of things, although I have a pair of pants like that have like 0 interest in them. So maybe I just have them listed wrong. This is Lady Manhattan, also vintage. This is a little slip. It is just a vintage slip. It has some flaws on it, but it does have some lace, and it's a larger size, I think, which is always good. And where is the tag? Well, maybe it doesn't have one. No, I found it. I found it. All right, I only buy these if they are made in the USA. Yeah, it's a size 44, which is, I don't know. I think 44 would fit me. So I think that would probably count in like the plus size. I'm not really sure. This took forever to sell, so I'm not like saying, oh, go buy all the slips. But when I find them for $1 or less, I paid $1.47 for this one. They usually sell around the $15 mark in my experience. I feel like a couple years ago, they would sell a lot faster, but like I said, things change, trends change. I don't know who's buying this. Is it someone who's wearing it as a slip? Is it someone who's wearing it as a slip dress? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, where did these things, where do they end up? You know, I wish, you know, people would like send me a picture. That sounds really creepy. I don't mean it in a creepy way. It's just, you know, I put some time and investment in these items, and I'm just curious, like, where are they going? What are they doing? Okay, so I've lost my train of thought. I have no idea what I'm doing at this point. Did I tell you any information about this? I looked up vintage nylon slip dress USA, or slip USA. The average sale price was $17.87 with a 3% sell-through rate. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't focus all your energy on nylon slip dresses. I was thinking that silk would be better, and I switched nylon for silk, and there was 0 sold. So I don't know. This sold for $16 on Poshmark after 17 months. I spent $1.47, so my profit's $11.33. Hey, I made some money. I'm gonna be happy about that. So my total profit is $79.35. Now, that would be normally, I would be really excited about that because that's a great one-day profit, but this is 2 days, and so that's not quite as good as I was hoping. I also have a return. Bummer. I went to my P.O. box yesterday. Yesterday? The day before? No, it was yesterday. So, seriously. All the noises today. Sorry, that was a very loud motorcycle. It is nice out today. I think if I had a motorcycle, I would want to be out on it. I don't. Nor do I want one. I think motorcycles are cool. So I was gonna take some time a little bit and tell you about our trip. We were in South Dakota during the Sturgis motorcycle rally, which we didn't realize when we were planning the trip. We knew before we got there that it was going to happen, but we had no idea. Like, we were not prepared for the amount of motorcyclists. It was insane. It was insane. We rerouted one of our legs so that we would not go through Sturgis, because we were actually supposed to go through Sturgis. And it didn't matter. All of the little towns around there were just inundated. It was phenomenal. Okay, so they returned a hat because it didn't fit. It's adjustable. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that there, but anyway. I do paid returns, if you don't know, so I will not pay the shipping either way on this, but I will refund their money for the hat. It's always kind of a bummer, but it's one of those, like, it's just part of it. So, okay, I'm gonna take a minute and tell you about my trip, if you don't mind. I know some people won't care, and that's cool. If you just, hit the like button before you leave, that'd be great. I'm drinking McDonald's coffee this morning. It's not really my favorite, but my sweet, sweet neighbor texted me and was like, hey, I'm going to McDonald's. Do you want anything? And I was like, sure. So she brought me breakfast and a coffee. That's so sweet of her. She's literally the best. I seriously have the best neighbors. Okay. So my family and I have been quite busy this summer, but we have all kind of been going in different directions. And my husband and I were talking at the beginning of the summer, like, hey, let's try and actually get a family trip in so that we can all 6 of us be together. I have 4 kids, 2 teenagers, 2 little kids. They're 7 and 9. And so we originally had talked about, we were going to go to Acadia National Park. We're pretty outdoorsy-ish people. We like to camp and hike and kayak and things like that. So we were gonna do that. Well, you can't get a camping spot in Acadia like 2 months prior to the trip. You gotta really plan ahead, and we had not planned ahead. So we were kind of just like 6 weeks ago maybe talking about what to do instead. And so we were like, you know what, let's, instead of going east, let's flip it and go west. I have this goal that when I turned 40, I was like, I really haven't been many places in the US. I think at that point I had only been in like 13 states. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start over, start at 0. And I want to, by the time I'm 50, I want to be in all 50 states. So 50 by 50 is my goal. I am halfway there. I'm 45. And I'm halfway there for states now. I've gotten 25 states. And one of the things we did on the trip, it was kind of accidental. We bought this like US bingo game. It's like states. And my husband like put out the little state bingo cards. They were all square, so it was hard to do, but he kind of was challenging himself to see if he could figure out where they all went on the map, just from memory. And then we went through and kind of took out all the states we had been in, and then we kind of grouped together kind of basically like mapped out the other trips that we need to take in order to get all my 50 states in the next 5 years. So that was kind of fun. I wasn't really a part of the trip, but we did it on the trip. So the goal is for our 25th wedding anniversary, we're going to go on a cruise to Alaska. And then if we hit all the other 48 states on my 50th birthday, or for my 50th birthday, we'll go to Hawaii. That's kind of the plan, the goal. We'll see. But what we did this time is something we've never done before. When we travel, we usually are like, we drive someplace and then we camp out there, right? We either get an Airbnb or we camp literally, or, and we just are there for 3, 4, 5 days, whatever. Well, we actually went on a full-on road trip. We rented an RV through Cruise America, which I highly recommend. However, we ended up getting a deal with like unlimited mileage, and that was like, we couldn't have done it if we hadn't gotten unlimited mileage. In fact, we were so excited about it. We were like, I've always wanted to go to the Upper Peninsula. I've already gotten Michigan, but I've never been to the UP, and I've always wanted to go, especially in the fall. And we were like, oh, that'd be so great, because we've always talked about camping there, but it gets cold up there really quick, and tent camping in the fall just kind of feels miserable at night. So I'm like a fair weather camper. I don't want it to be too hot. I don't want it to be too cold. So anyway, we were like, oh, we could get an RV for like a long weekend, rent an RV and go up there. And it was gonna like, just the trip we live in Indiana, just the trip from Indiana to the UP was gonna like double the cost just because of the mileage. I was like, man, we can't really do that. So anyway, unlimited mileage is definitely, I would say look out for that. I don't know how often they do it. We kind of stumbled upon it and it was great. So what we did was we headed west. We went through Iowa and stayed at a state park there. And then the next day we went to De Smet, South Dakota. On our way to De Smet, we stopped at another state park in Nebraska called Ponca. We stayed at Ledges State Park in Iowa. So Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota were new states for me. I've never been in those states before. So from De Smet, we went to Mount Rushmore. That was a long day of driving. On the way there, we stopped at the Corn Palace. We stopped at Wall Drug. We loved the Corn Palace. That was so fun. Very quick stop, but my mother-in-law had just been there a few months ago and she loved it. She was so excited about it. So we stopped there. We really disliked Wall Drug. I think it may have been a different situation for us that was one of the motorcycle towns. There were just so many, like we couldn't even really walk. It was intense. And then driving this 30-foot RV through the town with just motorcyclists everywhere was really overwhelming. Just because it's not anything, one, I'm not used to driving a 30-foot RV, and two, just that many motorcyclists all in like a little town. It wasn't even like on a highway. It was intense. So anyway, we went from there to Mount Rushmore, spent a few hours at Mount Rushmore, looking in the visitor center. We did the Presidential Trail, walked down to I think it's called the Artist Studio. Really cool experience. I've just never seen it. So that was neat. We stayed in Custer State Park, which is about 45 minutes from there. Custer was amazing. They have this wildlife loop and it's just phenomenal. We saw so many buffalo. It was just really cool. They have a bison center there. We went and checked out all of that kind of stuff. So it was just a really neat experience. We were not there very long. We went from there to Teddy Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota, which is also a new state for me. And we stayed there for 2 days, and that was actually kind of one of the more relaxing days. So we went to Teddy Roosevelt. We stayed in the town of Medora, which is right there by Teddy Roosevelt has like 3 different sections to it, and it's by the south. I think they call it the south. I forget what they call it. Anyway, if you've never been there, like that was my favorite stop. The Badlands are gorgeous, just absolutely beautiful. And it was phenomenal. So we hiked a little, we drove. They have a scenic route that took like 2 hours to drive. It was gorgeous. Lots of little stops along the way. Like I said, we hiked a little bit. Again, saw a ton of bison, prairie dogs. It's just really cool. Things I've never seen before, you know? And then then Medora has a musical that is like all about the history of, it's the history of Teddy Roosevelt. It's the history of that area. It was just really fun. We got to go, see this musical, and yeah, it was just kind of a unique experience. It was an outdoor amphitheater. It was beautiful. There was an elk that was like roaming behind the like stage area that I'm not sure if it was planted. Like, I'm like, was the elk supposed to be there, or did it just wander where it wasn't supposed to be? Yeah, it was just a really, really neat experience. So it was fun. Something we just don't usually do. So from there, we drove to Walnut Creek. I keep saying Walnut Creek. It's Walnut Grove, Minnesota. Minnesota is a new state for me. And then from Minnesota, we went to Pepin, Wisconsin. And Wisconsin is a new state for my children. I've been to Wisconsin before. So in De Smet, South Dakota, in Walnut Grove, and Pepin, Wisconsin, those are all Little House on the Prairie, Laura Ingalls Wilder stops. So in De Smet, we actually stayed on the Laura Ingalls Wilder homestead, and we were there for 2 nights. And it was just amazing. Like, my children were literally just running around on the prairie, and there was a little barn with a hay roof that's, you know, like described in the books, and there were kittens that my daughter just fell in love with and tried to take home. They got to ride horses. We went on a covered wagon ride. They have a little school with a teacher, so we went in there and had a little lesson, and she talked about the history of the school. It was just really cool. In Walnut Grove, we went to, that's where, on the banks of Plum Creek is set, and we literally stood on the banks of Plum Creek and saw the dugout where they lived, which my 9-year-old was devastated because it doesn't look like a dugout anymore. It's just kind of like a sunken area in the side of the hill, because it was 150 years old and it was a dugout, so it has fallen. And she was very, very distraught and sad that it was not what was in her imagination. So but we stood on the banks of Plum Creek. We went to a museum there, and then in Pepin, Wisconsin, that was everything is kind of blurring together. There was another museum there. There was actually a really big storm that morning, so we sat in the RV and played games together and read books, and it was just a really sweet time together. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Pepin was another museum, and then they have the Wayside Cabin, which is like a recreation of the house that she would have been born in, and it's on the property where she would have been born, or was born. And they actually had reenactors there, and so there was like a woman who was carding wool and spinning wool. There were a couple gentlemen there doing woodworking with like I don't want to say primitive tools, but like tools from 150 years ago. There was a man who had like guns and pistols and rifles from the 1800s, and he was actually shooting them. There was a guy it was like a recreation of the cabin, but it was like Lincoln logs, so you could take them apart and then put them back together. And he was also making buttons out of thread. I don't know, it was really cool. They got to make corn cob dolls out of corn cobs. I don't know, it was a really cool experience. And then we came home. So we were gone for 10 days, and it was just a really unique, really sweet experience for our family. Pause. I've spent way too much time talking about that. I was thinking it was going to be a quick 2 minutes, but we did a lot. So, sister, what was your favorite part of our trip?
Well, I loved going to the Laura Ingalls places.
Yeah.
Those were really fun, and I made a lot of friends there. So.
Oh, yes. She's very social and makes friends everywhere she goes. What about you, Bud? Did you have a favorite part of our trip?
Yeah, I was making a rope.
Making a rope? Oh, yeah, they got to make a rope. It was cool. Lots of unique experiences on that trip. So, you said you have a question? What's your question? What's your question?
Summer related.
It doesn't have to be summer related anymore. That was July. It's August now.
No.
I know, it's still summer. Back to school.
So, what are you most excited about for school?
Oh.
I'm most excited about math.
Yeah. Those are dads. Well, what if they don't go to school? Most of the people who watch my videos are adults. They don't go to school.
If you have kids.
What if they don't have kids? Some of them don't have kids that live at home. They have grown-up kids or just grandkids.
They still have to do school. Dad does school.
Dad does do school, but that's because he's in school. My husband's getting his doctorate.
Well, what is your favorite part?
Maybe what was your favorite part? How about in the past? What was your favorite part about school?
Oh, yeah. What was your favorite part about school? Mine is still math.
Still math? Yeah, we have a pretty good math curriculum, don't we? What's your favorite part about school, Bud?
Pluses.
What?
Pluses.
Pluses? Okay, pluses. I guess, does that mean math? Yeah, okay.
Math is
the easiest thing is pluses. I didn't ask what the easiest thing is. What's your favorite thing? Pluses. Okay. Still pluses. All right. What my favorite thing in school was always like reading, literature, English, that kind of thing. I also really liked math as well.
A lot of math.
A lot of math. All right. So let us know in the comments what was your or is your favorite thing about school. Recess is an okay answer.
Nah.
And lunch. Yeah, it is. All right.
I love recess.
You love recess? Yeah, my kids are homeschooled if you didn't know. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like the video. If you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you soon.